Hello, and we are back actually in this week. We weren't expecting this time last week to be here, nor were we for most of this week actually. It wasn't till, I think, Tuesday that they literally went green light, and yeah.
Yeah, big surprises all around.
Yay. Sorry, I'm just live, laugh, loving in the corner here.
Well, I'm Archibald Elliott, as usual. I'm joined by...
Sam Rowe.
And Brisha Shaw.
I think we actually forgot to do anything what we're going to do this episode, but I must say, yeah, it's actually not so sunny today.
Yeah, we've lost the good weather that we had last time. It's very disappointing.
I mean, it is, turning to night, so that could have some effect.
No excuse.
No excuse for this.
It's still quite warm, though.
That's true.
That's true. It's very, very true. Well, I suppose we have some elections coming up in the UK. The UK
London.
Local elections.
Oh, yes.
Yes, indeed.
On the 6th of May, so that's next week, a week today, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And we see some quite important...
Is it not the 5th of May?
Well, that's what Max Fosh's rival Lawrence Fox seems to think it is. So if you are there to vote for Lawrence Fox, it's the 5th of May for you. But for everyone else, it is indeed.
To be fair, if only his supporters vote on the 5th of May, he will win. It's an undeniable. If only he
he'll win the unofficial election on the 5th of May.
He'll win the true election.
Oh,
the real election.
The real election, yeah.
The real election was the friends we made along the way. I think we can all agree.
Who do you think, seriously, is going to win? Obviously,
In
London.
London. Sadiq Khan.
Yeah, he's
no
polling very, very high. Which is, well, actually not. He's not polling above 50%, but his lead is pretty high.
His points would be. It would take. To be honest, even a major scandal, I don't think there's time to significantly shift it. It would take something really incredible.
Khan.
There have been shocks before.
It's true.
Sadiq Khan kills babies.
The thing is, it would need to not just be a big shock. It would need to be a shock that overshadowed the scandal that is coming out of the Conservative Party right now, which have been fairly non-stop for the past few.
But very, very interestingly, it's not actually affected them at all in the polls.
Which I love so much. I find that absolutely
It really
hilarious.
does just prove that the Conservative Party can do anything they want and people will still vote for them.
I think Boris Johnson could kill a man and
on live television.
And Keir Starmer would be in PMQs the next day and he'd be like, it's important to remember he's under a great deal of pressure and I'm here to support the British government.
I don't think he should have killed the man in that way. I think another way might have been slightly
in
better.
A more humane way.
I might not agree with the decision taken by the Prime Minister yesterday.
I think this quite
he shouldn't have rugby tackled that child.
It kind of proves. I think Labour's been a lot recently focusing on their so-called cronyism within governments, and then if you look at it, the British people, lots of them. Especially on the left, also say actually the top levels of the Labour Party is just as corrupt as the Tories, which I know I don't think they are as corrupt as they're making out. But either way, the British people don't seem to think that they are because they're not affecting any polling numbers.
The tricky thing with polls is they are it's statistics and it's very difficult to judge accurately because it may just be that in the current climate. People's focus is elsewhere, and that's a very strong possibility. But I have to say I think that the issue is the kind of the infighting and stuff and all those shady kind of political deals going on in the Conservative Party. They don't really shock people because one, they've happened so much now that people are kind of like, well, and also it's not too different to how Keir Starmer was acting in his early days, with well, it's just not. You can't. I despise the Conservative Party, but I can't critique them and then not critique Labour under that, the same standards. I can't hold Labour to a lower standard, which is the way it is. It's a real shame because, any opposition should be polling better than the current government right now.
I think
they're not.
That's what I mean. But they should be. Anyway, there was that very famous thing just before it was just before the 2019 election, I think, and there was that big thing of, Labour should be 20 points ahead in the poll, and I think now they're 20 behind,
Yeah.
which is quite fitting.
Big L Keir.
Well,
Big L.
Big L for Keir.
I agree with you. It is quite fitting that kind of the leadership is not. It wasn't. It was all about originally that kind of the PR of that new leadership, new party. But I don't think much has kind of fundamentally changed. He's not shaking things up. He's actually just. He was polling better at the start because people were like, "Ooh, he's new. There might be something different. We might see a change." But then it's realised actually. We've got nothing here. It's not a viable alternative.
What Keir Starmer is essentially is he's Tony Blair if Tony Blair wasn't charismatic. And I have to say we need to talk about Tony Blair a bit as well because he recently did his little interview where he showed off his new mullet, which deeply upset me. I'm not kidding.
But
he has a mullet. Have you seen that?
I must say Tony Blair definitely did have kind of more charisma.
Even if you don't like him, he just had he had charisma in spades. But yeah, it's Keir Starmer is just so he's taking the party back to a stage where like they pander to the right and lean to the right. But if you're going to vote for a right wing party, why would you vote for Labour? You'd vote Conservative or Lib Dem.
Yeah.
And he doesn't appeal as a leader whatsoever. So in 2 moves, he's basically removed the supporting base of his own party, and now he's turning around confused as to why he isn't winning in the polls. But
there we go.
Just a little
do better,
cursed
Keir,
image
please.
for everyone to think about.
Yeah.
Archie with
Email
a
in at Keir Starmer to
not
try and get him to do
No,
it.
I'm not
Just
going to
email me
adopt a
in, I
mullet
guess.
hairstyle.
Yeah.
No.
Although I have to say, recently in PMQs when he did absolutely thrash Boris Johnson in the last. Boris really lost his
Actually,
temper.
if you see the last one, you get 2 different stories. Either you see that Starmer riled Boris, but actually I think Boris was very kind of strong with his point. Hey, I think he did make very good points.
Watch the video of Boris Johnson. Keir Starmer gets up, says what he says, sits back down. Boris Johnson turns purple red, like he changes colour straight up.
I don't blame him.
And then he stands up and he does his speech. Half of the words are inaudible. And he's, this man says, please, a beautiful blue passport. And then he sits back down. Half the Conservative Party is like, yeah, good job, Boris.
Go, Boris, go!
That was great. And even right-wing newspapers were putting out things like
Boris can't
Boris
even
loses
speak.
it, Bojo can't take the heat and stuff like that.
He's never been able to take the heat.
He can't. I mean, to be fair, it's not like anyone else. Not like Theresa May was out here being all...
No, I'm seeing a bit of a trend here, Sam.
It's almost like they're not good leaders. Almost. Far be it from me to make such a comment.
For you, yes. But I suppose, what are there any leaders, real leaders currently in politics existing? I haven't seen a viable one.
Sam and I are actually
Boris-
co-presidents of the Voltaire Society.
Sorry, maybe apart from,
and
maybe
I like
apart
to
from
think
you.
we do a pretty good job.
But it is in the UK.
0 meetings. So
No, we had that one.
we had one. Never mind.
And then COVID happened.
And then COVID happened. But that's not our fault.
Yeah.
Oh, but I think we are doing some debating stuff with you guys.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Get that sorted. It is very hard to organise cross-school
Yes.
events.
Especially with
especially-
Archie.
It's not me organising.
It's not.
Organising.
But yeah, you talk about. I was quite shocked to see Blair with a mullet, considering over lockdown. Yeah, you might expect he gets longer hair. You haven't been able to cut ages. Totally get it.
No, it was the
But-
fact it had been deliberately styled
And it's 28th.
into the mullet with the little flicks at the bottom.
Not the
Look,
flicks.
I can't really talk about
I think
hairstyles, but
I don't know about you, but I think mullets are very Australian.
yeah, I mean, it's just not British.
Yeah.
No.
And I don't mean that in a bad way. There are some British people who I'm sure pull off mullets really well, but they're not really British anymore. And of those people who pull off mullets really well, Tony Blair is not one of them.
I
ladies
love
and
how the
gentlemen.
first thing that comes up in the recommended search for Tony Blair is haircut.
Yeah, it's.
Why
and the
has
thing
it
is,
really
I'm not
accentuates
surprised,
his
'cause
ears?
He just popped off in the interview to be like,
He said,
even if he went on and he was like, if the SNP win a majority in Scotland, that's not a mandate for an independent. Like, and then he just started talking about how so if the majority of people, he basically was like, if the majority of people vote for the Scottish National Party, that's not a mandate
I,
for Scottish independence.
I can see the arguments for if the Scottish Nationalist Party get over 50% of the votes, there is some sort of mandate
For a referendum. Yeah.
But if they don't get, it's more they could get a majority in Hollywood, but Hollywood, but
Hollywood?
not Hollywood.
I'd love a majority
Hollywood.
in Hollywood.
But they wouldn't necessarily get over 40%, over like 50% of the votes.
I mean, they're polling, I think.
Because it's first past the post system in
Totally,
a way.
but they are polling decently over 50%.
If you look at the support for independence, though, interesting poll released, I think, yesterday, it was 42% yes, 48% no. If you look at the most recent poll done, it's quite interesting. The polls have gone quite far down.
Let's have a look. It could be true. The last I saw.
Sorry, 42 yes, 49 no, and 8 undecided, which was kind of a bit odd.
Yeah, that's.
But for the past week, since
what was that from?
If you look at all the polls,
The Daily Mail.
You go from the 7th to the 19th of April on. If you go to Wikipedia, where they collate all the polls.
Yeah.
Lord Ashcroft, the YouGov, the Times, the Scotsman, Salvation, DC Thomas, Panel Base, Scott Goes Prop. The Scotsman is the most recent one. Since the 7th of April, no has been leading by quite a bit. And considering this is on the lead up to these elections, the polls
Do you
become
think
slightly more interesting now.
Scotland should be independent, Archie?
I said this last week, and I don't think it would benefit them. If you look at their spending
Mm-hmm.
per head is about £1,500 more than spending per head in the United Kingdom, in
Mm-hmm.
England. And if you look at then their spending in their deficit, I think it's about 8 billion compared to 2 billion, which is quite shocking, and it is not sustainable debt.
I mean,
it's
I'm
not
gonna
sustainable
have
and
to stop you.
serviceable debt.
I'm gonna have to stop you just there because I can see where this debate is going, and we actually had this
I know
debate
we had this debate
last
last
time,
week, yeah.
and I just don't think we should get into it
No,
again
I
because
agree.
it ended with you talking about tax, and then I think we looked up and it was a few of the statistics weren't quite right, and I've got an article here on YouGovernment.
Don't worry,
And,
I've got more.
I think we should
facts
just
that don't care about your feelings.
I think we should
yes.
leave it to our listeners, but I will say I've just checked the poll, and yes leads by 53%.
What
On YouGov. I'm not kidding.
There's the most
Sure.
recent ones from YouGov at I think about there, and
mean,
then
that's
the most recent
Wikipedia.
one on the Scotland. They're all sourced, and they're the most recent polls. So
Yeah.
they do show
The
a
date given on these ones, it doesn't match up. Wikipedia isn't a very reliable source, as it can be changed by anyone.
I have quoted it several times in my EPQ, Sam. What the hell are you talking about?
Do not quote Wikipedia in your EPQ,
I haven't, I'm
please.
joking.
Well, actually, Wikipedia is quite.
I feel like
quite
it's
interesting.
helpful, but also it depends what you're looking for.
It's helpful, but for example, so we've pulled out those statistics, and in 5 minutes of searching, I found something from a different website that disagrees. The point is, you always have to corroborate your stuff, and
Yes, and you go onto these sources and then you find it.
yeah, and it.
Now, while Archie makes a website to prove his point is right.
I don't make websites. I
S&P
can't
have,
make websites.
And S&P have also risen in the polls recently. Anyway, though.
You're wrong, Sam.
So sorry, Sam. Yeah, the YouGov Scottish Independence Tracker, the no to Scottish independence is 53. And the yes is the other way round. It's the other way round.
There must
Sam.
be a typo there.
I think you might have got confused between yes and no.
I mean, I sure
yes
appreciate
doesn't always mean no's, as we
Do
we know.
not say
Yeah.
that on the podcast,
Yeah,
Archie.
yeah,
That is a dodgy
I said
thing
yes
to
doesn't always mean no. No, never mind. I'm saying they don't
That's
mean
the most. Can I say that's the most conservative thing you've ever said?
they don't mean the
I'm
same
looking at
thing.
it. Good save, Archie.
Ciao. Anyways.
Good save, Archie. Yeah. Look into that yourself.
Yes, please do, and
Could be my
I'm happy to post
recommendation.
this YouGov Scottish Independence Tracker. But going back to kind of our friends across the water in the United States of America, I think it's past Joe Biden's first 100 days now. I think the UK did a interesting fact check, and there was one. He's an interesting. I've seen a variety of videos. Somewhere he appears competent, and somewhere he appears like he doesn't know what he's saying. There was a very interesting one the other day when he was saying, like I'll get told off if I say this or something. It's like something I don't want to answer a difficult question or something along those lines. And also kind of so he definitely slips.
You've got to remember though, a lot of
fact
that
check.
is very heavily edited.
I know.
lot of
I
his
just
stuff
saying, if you look on the fact check,
like
he does have quite a few slips, as any president does.
He totally does. I think, but
I
that's
find it quite interesting.
and he's an old ass man. It's
Yeah.
gonna happen. Like Joe Biden is not the pinnacle of presidency, but
Papa Joe.
I would be very interested to see his fact check slip ups compared to Donald Trump's fact check slip ups in the first 100 years.
They appeal to
100
their
years?
own.
100 days.
It basically appeals to their own voter base. It's quite,
Exactly.
It's fascinating how American politics kind of has a lot of problems with kind of the president not being as competent as you might expect, because they have this age limit, and they always have like octogenarian presidents.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
There's a big thing I think that happens is we tend to, like, when we talk about American politics, we're very quick to be like, oh, that's, it's so trash. And to be fair, it is trash.
Yeah.
But I think we're also really quick to kind of, just because they have their problems means it's like above. I think American politics is also becoming scarily similar to UK politics in that sense. Like remember, I've mentioned this before, but remember ages ago when the Conservatives changed their Facebook page name to UK, to an pretending to be an unbiased UK fact check page.
Well, you can see underneath it is at Conservatives. So
sure, still
we
a
can
dodgy
argue.
change, Archie. Still a dodgy change. But the point is, you do see this stuff in UK politics all the time. Boris Johnson, our current Prime Minister, he has been, it's on the record, he has lied on so many occasions when he was
even to the Queen.
To the Queen, when he was a journalist, when he was Mayor of London, when he was Prime Minister. Recently, we had something that came in that I thought was very Donald Trump-esque. It's been leaked that, and I'm sure Archie will be braced to say not confirmed yet, but it was leaked that he said when speaking to Cummings about, and someone has said they'll defend this under oath, that he would rather, he said something like, let the bodies pile up in regards to the possibility of things.
You can't say that he... Brisha. But you can't definitively say he said it, or definitively say he didn't, because it's impossible to prove. Unless you have a recording, it is impossible. Unfortunately, it is
interesting you
prove.
mention recordings. Dominic Cummings has most recently come out and said that he has recordings of a lot of his encounters and meetings with Donald Trump.
If he does release them, I think it'll be very interesting. I'll say that.
The thing is, right?
#orcs.
Do you know, if I said to you, Sam, Archie said that he loves penguins.
Yeah.
That would be a very random thing to say.
That's a pretty random thing to say.
And do you think Archie would say something like that?
Yes.
I think Archie strikes me as a penguin man.
Yeah, penguins.
Okay.
Penguins
Well,
are great.
Both in stature and belief.
Let's change it. If I came to you and said Archie says he no longer likes cheese.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Hold the phone.
That's something very random. But if I said to you, Archie says he loves cheese, that's something you could understand Archie saying.
Well, I've said that before.
Yeah.
I know. That's the kind of thing he'd say.
And is Boris Johnson, saying, potentially, accusingly, or whatever you call it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, that's the one. Saying, let the bodies pile up. Something that Papa Boris would say.
Given that he is a man of no empathy, ego perhaps unrivaled currently in Europe, and of generally no tact and conscience, I'd say that's pretty likely.
But interestingly, it hasn't affected the polls.
Well, again, we will have to wait and see.
Right, my question is, who do they ask for the polls?
They ask
Do they just go...
I bet it's a guy called Barry. It's Barry, and he's in a pub, and he's like,
what? Do they
what
go
did he
out?
say?
Is it one of those people with a clipboard that's like, are you going to vote?
It will be an official survey.
It's usually done digitally. And they ask a variety of people. They get their background information. It's usually done by reputable.
Boris Johnson personally messages.
Hiya, hon, are you voting for me, Babs?
Kiss, kiss.
But they do a variety of people from a variety of backgrounds, and they weight it. They make sure it's weighting to represent the population.
Do they email them? Do they knock on their door?
Surveying.
Yeah, but
I imagine digitally, so it's email. I imagine.
Especially in COVID.
Click here to cast your vote.
But interestingly, then they do kind of a statistical analysis to make sure it falls within the critical regions. It makes sure it falls within a area of significance. And so they're more accurate than we might portray them. But they're again not totally correct.
The answer to everyone's question is they do it online.
I think the thing to do with that is, I think if you look at
It's an interesting
that
metric.
I think it's less to do with the success of the Conservatives and Boris Johnson, and more, and I think you might agree with me, Archie, on this, like the catastrophic failure of Labour.
I think that definitely boosts the vote.
Right.
What if?
Because I think
If there's a competent opposition, the vote is always more split.
And I think as well, if you look at parties like the Greens have become more popular, the Lib Dems have, the SNP
And
played Tory.
they take it off Labour.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean.
The
It's
thing is,
interesting.
right, what if everyone's just lying so that the Conservatives think they're
April
doing really
Fools.
well?
Opinion polls and exit polls have been wrong before.
So like everyone's just like,
But
let's-
they've become a lot better recently. If you look at 19 election,
Yeah, but
those
like,
exit polls were again done all from online
Yeah.
registration.
Interesting. In 2017, I know early polls showed Theresa May increasing her,
And then they switched.
and then she very nearly lost a
Yeah.
majority.
Well, she did lose her majority.
I mean,
Sam.
sorry, she very nearly lost the premiership.
Yeah.
If that makes
Interesting. On the theme of Keir Starmer,
you
Did you-
said Kiss
did you-
Starmer.
did you see his
would
John
happily
Lewis
kiss
wallpaper
Starmer.
photo op?
Oh yeah,
Where
yeah.
he's handling wallpaper.
He was
in
like-
John Lewis.
He was in John
Uh,
Lewis, and he was just giving out wallpaper to people, being like, "I'm one of you." All right,
look at me, I am you.
I just don't. I don't think it's a value considering there's an election in a week.
I'm like,
It
can you-
doesn't.
Yeah.
In last PMQs, he didn't talk anything about policy. He had an interview with BBC. He again for like 10 minutes didn't talk anything about policy. He's not focusing on policy. He's just trying to kind of tear the
He
Conservative
looks
Party
so
down.
awkward. This
Which-
is a man
it's
that
not
has
that he's-
never held a piece of wallpaper in
I
his
don't even
life.
think his issue. You seem to think that his issue is that he's attacking the Conservative Party
Well,
too
You
much.
know, it's almost he's not promoting that he's a viable alternative. That's kind of the main issue with it.
It's beautiful.
is he
picture.
just he
Why
just
is he looking
decides
at
to
it
just
like that?
kind of tear the government down rather than saying,
I think
look what
he's
the government's doing. We can do a little bit of tearing, but here's how I would make a better leader.
To be honest, I think that the issue is actually that he's been, particularly previously, it's stepped up a bit now, but he has been very, very kind to the government. And actually, there was a while back, he and Boris Johnson got into quite a heated debate in Parliament, and I remember reading that afterwards they kind of met and they were like, "I'm so sorry." That was the thing, and that's the case. And it's the same with Tony Blair. There's a very famous Tony Blair speech that you can look up where he talks about where he just openly says, if you are a Conservative, you can still vote for me. And that's his kind of thing. He had within his kind of reach Conservative ideologies, and I think Keir does that, and
But
I think that's
also
why he
doesn't
works
do
with the
it.
government.
He
does it, but he doesn't. People don't believe
and
him.
they don't see that he's actually providing a viable alternative. They see him as promoting left wing like socialist agenda whilst being right wing. He's not really behind. He doesn't seem he's
yeah.
behind.
The thing
what
is,
he
why
believes.
don't the Labour Party just call another leadership election?
They can't? They can, but
Mhm.
the MPs haven't decided to.
Yeah,
But
who would they rally behind though? That's the thing. Because Keir Starmer has conveniently everyone who made
Angela
up the
Rayner.
Yeah.
Rayner. She's oh dear.
amazingly everyone who posed a serious threat to Keir Starmer has
Has
magically become an anti-Semite and has been kicked out of the party. Which one of whom was the oldest serving Jewish member of the Labour Party, and she was like, I think Keir Starmer is using anti-Semitism for his own advantage. And then, anyway, the point is,
And Angela Rayner, I think, is looking to be kind of going more onto the scene. But
Yeah.
again, lots of her stuff again is she's using a lot of rhetoric, not actually. She's not factual. All her stuff behind, she's been proven many times
Shouldn't you like her
just
then, Archie?
to not tell the truth. No, I don't like pure rhetoric. I've never been one for full populism. I don't think populism's
That's
a
funny.
useful mechanism of kind of politics. It should be there looking at the policy, looking at a strong leadership, and looking at someone who can really take the country forward.
Speaking of a leadership election, Archie.
Yes.
Did you win or have the
No,
votes
no,
not
no,
been
no,
cast?
no. Nothing's done. I still
for
ent-
reference,
interviews.
Archie, we saw
Yes.
Archie's
Oh.
beautiful manifesto for head
Glad
boy
you,
at
glad you
school.
call it beautiful.
It was
It is.
gorgeous.
Well, somebody had.
Somebody had written Smexy Boy in it. To be fair,
Had they? Oh no.
Have you not seen this picture? Oh,
Anyway,
show him the picture.
I'll show him the picture. Sam,
But
if you want to talk.
also on leadership elections, the DUP,
Archie's just gonna carry on.
the DUP is electing a new leader.
Yeah, Arlene
Yeah.
Foster's leaving.
Oh,
She's
And,
checking out. What a shame.
Howard Quayle. Lord and Saviour of man, had a couple of things to say about this.
Howard Quayle made what is objectively what we call in the biz
The
a
worst.
mistake.
I think he's entitled to his view and entitled to publish
yeah,
on
but
his
The,
Twitter account.
the issue was he presented. I think the issue was he can. You know what? He can support Arlene Foster. He shouldn't. She's a bad woman. But
In your opinion.
Okay, I would say supporting torture, which is what conversion therapy is
But
a bad thing.
Sam,
But
gay
Archie,
bad.
If you disagree with that, that is absolutely fine. But you can. If you want to say that on the record, you can say that. My issue with what he said was that she, proven a good friend of the Isle of Man, and I think in doing that he synonymized the island with someone who holds what are objectively morally abhorrent views. Now you're right, Archie. That is just my opinion, but I know lots of people, regardless of economically where they stand, who would absolutely agree with that. I know plenty of people who are quote unquote right wing, who the very idea of associating with someone who supports something like conversion therapy would be unthinkable. So it's not some crazed socialist thing to suggest Howard Quayle made a mistake.
Whoa. We'll read out. I'll read out the tweet, and then I suppose you can make up your own mind. I'll read it as followed: Howard Quayle at Howard Quayle MHK on April the 28th. Sending Arlene Foster my very best wishes as she steps down as at DUP leader. I have come to know Arlene through the British Irish Council, and she's become a good friend to the Isle of Man.
Hashtag Isle of Man, Archie.
Sorry. She has shown herself to be a strong and principled leader through difficult times. That's the tweet. I don't think it was the Isle of Man thanks you for your service.
No,
it
but
was a personal message from his account. I don't see anything wrong.
I really do, and I think as well, and it would be very easy, for us to just be like, because it's not our struggle. None of us have gone through conversion therapy. It would be so easy for us to say, you know what, doesn't really matter. It's just Howard. It's just
conversion therapy.
Mm.
You know what? That is frankly, it's someone else's problem.
I think you're digging into this a bit much. All he was doing was sending his best wishes, because Arlene Foster, the DUP is going through a very a very big turmoil at the moment, and all the leadership, and
not like Northern Ireland.
And it was almost like a coup. So I think he's perfect. He's perfectly
A bloodless coup.
Maybe she was Catholic.
It's perfectly acceptable for a leader of a leader of a Celtic nation to wish another leader of the Celtic nation well as they depart their role.
I think
don't say anything wrong.
I don't know.
This is from Devon Watson, friend of the podcast. Shout out Devon Watson. He posted a thing saying, extremely disappointed that the Chief Minister and the Isle of Man government have endorsed a politician that has fought hard against gay marriage and reproductive freedom for women. As Councillor Samuel Harmer points out, which I think, I think both of us will agree with, being strong and principled are actually bad traits if your principles are built around bigotry. This is not even a good political move for the island. She just got ousted by her own party, so the incoming leaders won't be fans, which is very true.
That is true.
If you look in politics and the tradition in politics, even if you look in constituencies where they make their maiden speeches, they're very complimentary towards their former partners. New PMs thank the old PMs for their job, and generally it doesn't harm relations for a country. Boris Johnson thanked Donald Trump for his service.
We're not saying
it's not a bad thing,
right? But the point is, Biden didn't thank Donald Trump, and this is the thing. And I know they're not. I'm not saying this is gonna I'm not implying that this is gonna start a war between Northern Ireland and the Isle of Man.
But Sam, that's exactly what's happened.
But that is what's gonna happen. I'm just saying.
I can see the army coming already.
For me, Arlene Foster is someone who I could never. I actually think she has been one of the worst influences in Northern Ireland and in fact in British politics.
Yes.
I think she's voted for and supported genuinely horrifying things, and even though we might not experience them, I think it's very unfeeling and shows a dangerous lack of empathy for us to condone a politician like that.
But quick question: which is better, Civ 5 or Civ 6? If you play either.
Civ 5.
You see, that's the point. Unfortunately, Sam, like Devon, I can't accept your opinion on anything now because Civ 6 is the superior game.
Right, that's a game.
I was
talking about torture.
I was just saying to move on. I don't.
Archie comparing conversion therapy to a game he doesn't like.
I wasn't comparing the two. If you listen back, but if you look at it, again, these are opinions. We can have these
no,
opinions.
it totally is.
But I don't think it's right to say to a independent person, our chief minister, who is
Strong,
not
independent
under
chief
our
minister.
control, he's perfectly entitled to his own view,
Hashtag girl boss.
and he can be held
Darling
accountable,
Foster.
and he was held accountable to the public in the last election. He's perfectly entitled to have his opinion, and I have no problem with his making his opinion.
He can, and that's the thing is, one, I didn't say like I haven't called. It's not like I've called for his arrest. It's not like I've said.
But you said he shouldn't have said
We should
that.
have a
I
bloodless
shouldn't have, no.
coup on Howard Quayle.
He is.
Is
You know
there-
what?
is
He
there
can
now
have
a-
that. He can have that opinion, but freedom of opinion and freedom of expression is not
We
freedom from
disagree with it.
consequence. I am now allowed to come on this podcast and explain why I think that opinion is abhorrent. You can't then say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa."
Oh,
You're
no,
suppressing his
not
right.
allowed.
If he
Can I just
opened
say-
his mouth and I rugby tackled him and beat him to the ground, then I'd be suppressing. I'm not going to do that. Don't worry, Howard. But
Howard, we know where you live.
You
But that's-
Sleep
yes.
with one eye open tonight, Howard.
you-
This is when Howard Quayle gets it.
you were implying you were implying that Howard shouldn't have been allowed to say that in a way. Like he shouldn't have posted it on his Twitter.
We've literally never said that. We
didn't
said
say
he shouldn't have endorsed her or
I'm saying
said
that he shouldn't. I don't think
Which
he
he
should have
didn't
done
do,
that. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have. He's had the opportunity to do that. He's gone and done that.
Yeah.
He now
Has
also
to
has
face
the
the
responsibility as
consequences.
a human adult to take
As a big
the
boy.
as a big boy to take the consequences of that. There is not. I'll never get over this, and it's so interesting because there's a type of person, and it's the type of person who will incidentally call people snowflakes for calling people out on things like racism. But there's a type of person who gets so fragile over the notion that someone else questioning their opinion or saying their opinion is incorrect, and opinions can be incorrect.
That's up to your opinion, Sam.
Opinion. If you say in your opinion, chairs aren't real,
yes.
that's
But-
incorrect.
And it's Sam.
It's still your opinion. It doesn't make it not your opinion. It's 100% your opinion, Archie. But chairs are real. You see what I'm saying?
Sam, that's I think you're drawing.
Watch him call it dangerous.
You're drawing an interesting line here between statements and opinions.
Yeah.
I say I don't believe that people should be able to drink seawater. That is an opinion.
Yeah.
That opinion is not wrong or right. It's not a statement.
Well, no, it's
It's
that
saying
is totally
should.
your opinion.
I don't. If
Of
I say I
course.
don't think chairs should exist, that's an opinion. It's not
course.
neither wrong or right. But if
course.
you use a statement that chairs don't, I could say the sky doesn't exist, and I'm entitled to that opinion. And my opinion
It's still an opinion,
is not.
but that's
Are
the
you
point
guys
wrong.
still listening to
I
this?
know. Archie, my point was, and you're quite right, when an opinion is made as a statement, it can be incorrect.
But I don't believe it's then necessarily an opinion.
Anyway, thanks for listening to this week's episode. It still is, though. Anyway. Oh,
I think the Earth is flat. Is that an opinion or a
good
statement?
job.
Tell
Star for
us.
participation, Brisha.
You know,
This is so funny.
Mum, come pick me up. I'm scared.
They're drinking, Mum. Come pick me up.
Mum, come pick me up. Archie's making me drink seawater.
I said you shouldn't be allowed to.
Sorry.
Brisha, you got the joke wrong.
How dare you, really?
Actually, in my opinion, you didn't say that, Archie. So.
But interestingly, just going back to kind of not seawater, the sea that surrounds us. We've seen the move to a level 3 border details come into Saturday. What do you guys think?
I think that's
Yay.
just fine and dandy. No. Yeah, that's a natural.
In my opinion,
In my opinion,
that is incorrect. We have not gone to a level 3.
Brisha doesn't believe it.
I don't believe it.
But Brisha, again, that's a statement. Not
No,
an
she's
opinion.
saying she doesn't
No, but
believe
in
that
my
we have.
opinion, we haven't.
You're
done
welcome not to believe it.
She'd be wrong
Feel
though,
free.
wouldn't she?
I will read out.
That was the moment.
I will read out the definition from the Oxford English Dictionary.
She just realised.
I'll read out the definition from the Oxford English Dictionary.
Yeah.
A view or judgment formed about something not necessarily based on fact or knowledge. A statement of advice given by an expert on a professional matter.
Exactly. So
That-
it can be wrong.
No, it doesn't. Oh.
It's no, because it's still an opinion. Something. It's just, ladies and gentlemen, not everyone listening. Archibald Elliott has just realised he is wrong, and is. I so hope that was on camera. The expression in his face was like he'd just seen a train coming on the other side of the tracks.
I believe a opinion can be unfounded. but I do
It
not
can be
believe
incorrect.
that you can conclusively prove for 100% sure on literally anything.
I mean,
you can
you
never have
can't be-
100% certainty.
What you're getting into there is a fun little thing called metaphysical philosophy, Archie,
Yes.
which we can literally debate for
and that's
infinite.
and that's why I do not
I'll
believe
be honest,
an
on my-
opinion can be incorrect.
I'll be honest on you. On this teenage political podcast, I was hoping we could apply a little more common sense to the discussion. I was clearly wrong. That was my mistake.
I still stick by there are an infinite number of possibilities.
Oh, good for you, Archie. That's real
Nothing
good.
can
What
be
do you guys
entirely wrong.
What do you guys think about the fact that that there are parallel universes?
Guys.
But like
Consider
every
a universe.
No, shut up, Sam. I'm talking here. Okay.
That was really
What do you think that like the theory that there are parallel universes where like every decision you do, you like either don't do it or you do it. So like there's a parallel universe where I didn't pick up my phone right now.
Yeah.
And I just carried on
Is
talking.
there a parallel universe where that whole conversation didn't happen because it was utterly pointless?
I
I'd
believe
like
there
to
is.
go there.
Can we move?
Do you think? I think that's so weird, isn't it?
That
But,
would be kind of crazy.
Right. What if you?
Are you stoned, Felicia? What is going on
You know, like with time travel,
in it?
I've always wondered.
Right, I think we have reached a level of hilariety here which the mics do not like.
Right.
Have you cut her off?
No, I haven't cut her off.
right.
I just said the mics went
He's
to
not
like red.
quoting Thatcher again, is he?
God.
But right. So do you know where in like time travel you've got to avoid the other person? But won't-
You mean your past
yeah, your
self?
past self.
Right.
But then won't your past self in the future go back in time and meet your past self?
Right, it's the idea of you should appear and
Yeah.
then instantly someone else should bump into you from behind.
No. It's like you should appear
Yeah.
and then you like go back to the future or whatever, or you do your thing. Then surely the like you would know that you're gonna go back in time.
Well, maybe you'd then just avoid you.
No. But like, so say I went back in time
It's a paradox.
to when I was born.
Sure.
I then like know that I was gonna go back in time.
And only if you met yourself.
Yeah,
Which
Oh,
is
yeah.
and
isn't that
equally
like-
only when you reach the time that you were then going to plan to go back to,
Yeah.
then go to past.
Oh, never mind.
It's a paradox again.
Well,
Many
I hope that
paradoxes
helped any of our
within.
time travelling viewers. Anyway,
Back to politics, I guess.
can we end it there?
Yes, I suppose that is it from PolitiBabble this week. We've ended on a
Can we can we call
rather
this episode
it's-
opinions?
Yeah.
opinions, and not fact. Hope you've enjoyed. Goodbye.